Ethan Ward had always loved the quiet of their small Texas town, the kind of place where the sun melted into the horizon like a slow breath, and neighbors waved even if they didn't know your name. But that evening, as he stood on the creaking wooden porch of their farmhouse, the stillness felt wrong, off, as if something in the air was holding its breath. The delivery truck rolled down their dirt road at an unusually slow pace, kicking up a long cloud of dust. Ethan watched as the tires crunched to a halt at the edge of his property. The driver didn't step out right away. Instead, he just sat there, engine humming, hand still on the wheel, staring at the house like he was waiting for a sign. Maren stepped out from the kitchen just then, wiping her hands on a towel. She froze when she saw the truck. "Another package?" Ethan asked lightly. "Yeah, I guess." Her voice was too soft, too careful. Ethan watched her walk toward the gate, a bit too quickly, her steps uneven. The driver finally emerged, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a cap pulled low enough that Ethan couldn't see his eyes. But he saw something else, a slight nod. Not friendly, not polite, personal. Maren didn't look at the driver directly. She kept her head lowered, hair falling forward like a shield. He handed her a small package. Nothing unusual, but the exchange lasted too long. The kind of pause that spoke louder than words. Then the driver murmured something Ethan couldn't hear. Maren's fingers tightened around the box. Her shoulders stiffened. "Everything okay?" Ethan called out. Both of them jerked slightly, as if he had interrupted something he wasn't supposed to witness. Maren turned back immediately. "Yeah, it's fine." She forced a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. The driver didn't glance Ethan's way. He simply stepped back, slid into his truck, and drove off, leaving an unsettling silence behind. When Maren reached the porch, Ethan noticed how she held the package against her chest like she was trying to hide it. Her breathing was a little too quick. "Who was that?" Ethan asked, nodding toward the direction the truck disappeared. "Just same driver as before," she said. "He's new to the route. He seemed familiar with you." Her eyes flickered, just for a second, a tiny, sharp flash of fear or irritation. He couldn't tell. "It's just a delivery, Ethan," she said, walking past him into the house. But the tone wasn't right. Maren wasn't the type to sound defensive, and she never hid packages. But that's exactly what she did, slipping it into the pantry, as if she didn't want him to ask anything else. That night, Ethan found her in the kitchen long after midnight, pacing between the counter and the sink. Her phone lay face down on the table. Her breathing was uneven, her hands shaking. "You okay?" he asked softly. She startled, nearly dropping the glass she was holding. "I didn't hear you." "You're trembling." "I'm just tired. Long day." She looked exhausted, but it wasn't the kind of exhaustion that came from chores or work. It was fear, the kind that sits tucked behind the ribs, tight and unspoken. "You know you can tell me if something's wrong," Ethan said. Maren gave him a sad, distant smile. "Nothing's wrong." But her voice cracked ever so slightly. She walked past him again, retreating upstairs as if she couldn't get away quickly enough. Ethan was left standing in the dim kitchen, listening to the quiet hum of the refrigerator and the small, uneven sound of footsteps fading down the hall. Outside, a faint pair of headlights appeared briefly on the distant road, then vanished. Ethan didn't sleep that night, not because he feared something had happened, but because he feared something had already begun. Ethan woke before sunrise, restless and wired from a night of watching shadows move across the ceiling. Maren's side of the bed was already empty. He found her in the kitchen again, staring out the window as if waiting for something or someone to appear on the road. She jumped when he spoke. "You're up early," he said gently. She nodded without looking at him. "Couldn't sleep?" Ethan didn't press. Not after the way she shut down the night before. Instead, he reached for the coffee pot, but as he opened a cabinet, something caught his eye, an odd shape tucked behind the cereal boxes. A package, the same size and shape as the one from last evening. He tilted his head. "Didn't you put that package in the pantry?" Maren's shoulders tensed. "I moved it." "Why?" "Because it's mine," she snapped, sharper than he'd ever heard her. The kitchen fell silent. Maren stared at the floor, regret flickering across her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to sound like that." But the damage was done. Ethan could hear what she didn't say. Don't ask. Don't look. Don't dig. Later that morning, when Maren went upstairs to shower, Ethan found himself drawn back to the pantry. Not because he wanted to invade her privacy, but because something about the driver's long, lingering stare clung to him like smoke. He pulled out the box she'd hidden. It was still sealed. No return address. No seller label. Just Maren's name printed neatly across the top in bold black ink. His stomach tightened. He opened the pantry door wider. 2 more packages sat behind the larger jars. Same size. Same lack of labels. Same handwriting. He stepped back, pulse rising. 3 packages. All unopened. All hidden. He didn't know why, but he suddenly felt like he was staring at evidence of what he didn't yet understand. Before he could think, Maren's footsteps sounded on the stairs. Ethan slid the pantry door shut and backed away, guilt racing through him like heat. Maren appeared in the doorway, wearing a clean shirt, hair damp, expression guarded. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," Ethan said, knowing a lie sat too easily on his tongue. "Just thinking." She studied him a second longer than usual. Her gaze flicked to the pantry, only for half a heartbeat, but enough. "Maren," he said quietly. "If something's going on, I don't want to talk about it," she said, cutting him off. Her voice wasn't angry this time, just afraid, and fear always meant something real. For the rest of the day, she drifted through the house like she was holding her breath. Every time a car passed on the road, her eyes flicked up. Every time her phone buzzed, she turned away from him to check it. She deleted messages quickly, her fingers trembling. That evening, Ethan tried again. "You're not yourself," he said softly. "Talk to me." Maren wrapped her arms around herself. "Ethan, please don't push this." He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "Whatever this is, you're not alone," he whispered. Her voice wavered. "I'm trying to protect you." "From what?" Her jaw trembled. "From something I thought I left behind." But before he could ask anything else, headlights flashed across the window. A truck slowed on the road. Same shape, same color, and Maren flinched so hard she knocked a glass off the counter. It shattered across the floor. Ethan moved toward the window, but Maren grabbed his arm. "Don't," she whispered. "Please don't go outside." Her fear hit him deeper than her words. This wasn't about a package anymore. This was about a person. The truck didn't stop. It kept driving until the taillights disappeared over the hill. But Maren didn't relax. She stood frozen, chest rising and falling in shallow breaths. Ethan swept the broken glass off the floor while she returned to staring out the window again. Quiet, shaking, waiting. He had never felt further from her. Upstairs later, as Ethan lay awake listening to her uneven breathing, a single thought carved its way into his mind. She isn't afraid of the packages. She's afraid of the person who sent them. And tomorrow, he would find out exactly who that was. Ethan woke to the soft clatter of dishes downstairs. Maren was already up, moving around the kitchen with unusual urgency, as if staying still might let her thoughts catch up to her. The memory of last night still sat heavily on Ethan. Her panic, the truck, the fear she tried to hide but couldn't. He found her at the stove, hands shaking as she flipped pancakes. She wasn't really watching. "You don't have to cook," he said gently. "I needed to keep busy," she murmured. Ethan studied her carefully. The faint dark circles beneath her eyes, the tightness in her shoulders, the way she kept glancing toward the window, despite the calm of early morning. Something inside her was stretched thin, trying to ease the tension. He sat at the table and reached for a fork. "Any sign of our friend from last night?" She stiffened almost imperceptibly. "No, it's Sunday. They don't deliver on Sundays." It was the fastest she had answered any question in days. A few minutes passed in quiet. Then Ethan casually asked, "Do you even know his name? The driver?" He meant it lightly, but the reaction was anything but. Maren froze completely. The spatula hovered midair. Her breath hitched, and then she spoke too quickly, too firmly. "No, of course not. Why would I know his name? He's a delivery driver." Ethan blinked. She hadn't just lied. She had overcorrected. And overcorrection always meant guilt. He tried to ignore the knot forming in his stomach. If he kept pushing, she would only retreat further. They ate in silence after that. Maren barely touched her food. When Ethan went out to do yard work later, he kept the back door cracked open so he could hear her inside. She was pacing again, whispering to herself, opening drawers, closing them, opening them again, searching for something she couldn't find, or something she feared she might find. Around noon, Ethan walked back inside for water. Maren's phone buzzed on the counter. She lunged for it, but he was already close enough to see the preview before she flipped it over. "Did you tell him?" Unknown number. His pulse quickened. Maren swallowed hard. "It's spam." "Maren, that wasn't spam." She said nothing. Her silence was confirmation. Ethan stepped closer. "Who's texting you? Who doesn't want me to know something?" "That doesn't matter," she whispered. "It does to me." Her eyes glistened, but she turned away. "Ethan, please. I'm begging you not to make this worse." Worse. The word echoed like a warning. Later that afternoon, Ethan tried to distract himself by fixing a loose fence board. The sun was dipping low when he heard the unmistakable growl of a delivery truck engine approaching, the same slow, crawling sound from the night before. He stepped out to the driveway just as the truck turned onto the main road. It didn't stop this time, didn't even slow down, but Ethan got a clearer look at the driver. The cap, the posture, the way he kept his head down, but glanced through the corner of his eye. The truck disappeared down the road, but Ethan's intuition clawed at him. Something in the way the man drove felt personal, not routine. He walked back into the house, heart pounding. Maren was at the sink washing dishes. Her hands trembled violently when she heard the screen door. "You saw him again, didn't you?" she asked without turning around. Ethan hesitated. "Why do you know it was him?" Maren's throat tightened. Because he always drives that route on Sundays." Ethan froze. She had said Sundays were non-delivery days. She had said she didn't know his name. She had said she didn't know anything about him. But she knew his route. "Maren," Ethan said softly, "if you don't know him, why do you know so much about him?" She turned slowly, eyes wide and terrified. Her lips parted before she realized what she was saying. "Because Logan wouldn't," she stopped. But the damage was done. Ethan felt the world tilt. "Logan," he repeated. You said you didn't know his name." Maren backed away as if burned. "I didn't mean to. Ethan, please don't." He stepped toward her. "Maren, who is he?" Her breath turned shallow. "I can't do this. Not yet." She rushed past him, retreating to their bedroom and locking the door. Ethan stood alone in the kitchen, the name echoing in his mind. Logan. A name she shouldn't have known. A name spoken like a memory she never wanted to resurrect. And as Ethan stared at the locked door, he knew one thing. Tomorrow, he would start digging. And whatever he uncovered would begin unraveling everything. Ethan couldn't sleep that night. Logan's name haunted him like a ghost, lingering in every shadow of the bedroom. Maren's sudden retreat, her panic, the secret she clutched so tightly. They weren't just minor mysteries anymore. They were warnings. Early the next morning, Ethan found an excuse to be alone in the house. Maren had already left for work, or at least said she had. But something in the way she left, a small lingering hesitation, told him she was hiding something. He moved quietly to the guest room, where Maren had abandoned an old tablet months ago, convinced she no longer needed it. It was dusty, ignored, but to Ethan it looked like a gold mine. He hesitated for a moment, wondering if he should really be snooping. But curiosity, mixed with the gnawing unease he'd carried for days, pushed him forward. He powered on the tablet and swiped past the locked home screen. Surprisingly, it wasn't password protected. The gallery was full of old vacation photos, generic selfies, and screenshots. But then Ethan noticed the messaging app icon blinking. A single notification. Deleted messages, it seemed. Most were gone, but some fragments remained. Partial lines, ellipses, half-words. He scrolled through them slowly, his chest tightening. "You promise? Can't risk him finding out. Me at the usual place. It has to be done tonight," his heart pounded. These weren't casual messages. These were urgent, secretive, and trembling with fear. He tapped the app to see if he could recover more, and there it was, a hidden folder labeled only 10 p.m. He opened it, revealing dozens of messages spanning weeks. Most were to Logan. Some were fragmented, some cryptic, but they all carried the same undertone: anxiety, warnings, hints of a debt or obligation Maren had kept hidden. Ethan's stomach churned as he read one fragment aloud under his breath. I don't know if I can. He's watching. A cold sweat broke out across his forehead. He sank into the armchair, running a hand through his hair. The woman he thought he knew, the wife he had trusted completely, was living a shadow life he had never suspected. And Logan, the delivery driver, the man whose name had slipped so easily off Maren's lips, he wasn't just a stranger. He was a tether to this hidden world, a connection to part of Maren she refused to reveal. Hours passed. Ethan felt trapped between fear and a gnawing need to understand. Every new message was like a piece of a puzzle, but the image it formed was dark, confusing, and terrifying. There were mentions of someone or something Maren feared, references to promises she couldn't break, and repeated insistence that Ethan must not know. But the fragments had revealed more than she intended. One message included a photo attachment, blurry, but Ethan recognized the location: the old warehouse near the edge of town. Another showed a name written in the corner: Logan. He had never seen Maren this afraid of anyone before. Ethan's mind raced. Who was Logan really? What was Maren hiding from him? And why had she been hiding it for so long? Then a new message appeared. He hadn't realized the tablet was connected to the network. It read, "Don't follow tonight. You'll regret it." A warning. Or a threat. Ethan's hand shook. He knew he couldn't ignore it, couldn't stay passive. The puzzle pieces were in front of him, and now the danger was real. The line between Maren's past and present blurred, and he realized one truth. He needed answers, and Logan, wherever he was, would be part of them. He closed the tablet, heart hammering, and looked out the window. The sun had dipped low, casting long shadows across the yard. The wind rustled through the trees in quiet whispers, as if the house itself was holding its breath. Ethan felt a cold resolve settle in his chest. Tomorrow, he would confront the questions he had been too afraid to ask. He would find Logan, and he would understand the connection between the delivery driver and the wife he thought he knew. Because Maren's secrets weren't just words on a screen anymore. They were warnings, and Ethan couldn't afford to ignore them. Outside, a delivery truck rumbled down the dirt road, slow and deliberate, a shadow against the fading light. Ethan's eyes narrowed. It had begun. Ethan's truck rumbled down the back roads outside their small Texas town, the engine low and steady, blending with the hum of cicadas in the late afternoon heat. He wasn't entirely sure where he was going, just following instinct and fragments of messages from Maren's tablet. The old warehouse she had photographed earlier was too far to check on a whim, but there was a pattern he couldn't ignore. The delivery routes, the timing, the name Logan echoing in his mind like a warning. He saw the truck first, a faded white delivery van turning onto the gravel road ahead. The same slow, deliberate pace from the past 2 nights. Logan. Ethan's heart thumped in his chest. Every instinct screamed at him. Turn back. But something darker, heavier, refused to let him retreat. He followed. The van pulled into a small gas station near the edge of town. Ethan parked a few cars down, heart hammering, watching Logan through the windshield. The man stepped out, stretching, seemingly unaware of Ethan's presence. His cap was low, shadowing his eyes, but Ethan could feel the weight of his stare even from this distance. Ethan considered leaving, but the unanswered questions, the fear in Maren's voice, and the vague threats in the tablet pulled him forward. He approached the van cautiously, keeping his hands visible. Logan glanced up, and for the first time their eyes met. Cold, measured, calculating. Logan didn't flinch, didn't smile. He only tilted his head slightly, as if evaluating Ethan for a flaw he could exploit. "You following me?" Logan's voice was calm, almost bored, but it carried an undercurrent that made Ethan's skin prickle. I just have a few questions," Ethan said, trying to keep his voice steady. "About Maren." Logan's eyes narrowed. Questions are expensive. Ethan's chest tightened. I just need answers. She's afraid. I think you know why. Logan chuckled softly. Not warm, not friendly, just a sound that chilled the air between them. Afraid, huh? Maren's always been afraid. Fear keeps people alive. You'd know that if you paid attention. Ethan swallowed hard, sensing he was skirting the edge of something dangerous. Look, I don't want trouble. I just want to know what's going on. Logan stepped closer, slow and deliberate. The heat radiating off him made Ethan's palms sweat. You really think it's that simple? That I'm going to tell you what she's hiding? Kid, you don't even know the half of it. I don't care about simple, Ethan said. I care about her safety. Logan studied him for a long moment, then tilted his head toward the truck. You know that photo she sent? The warehouse? That's not the problem. It's the warning you should have paid attention to. You digging around now. You could make things worse. She asked me to protect her. That's all you need to know, for now. Ethan felt a pulse of anger and frustration. Protect her? You've been involved with her? You've been hiding this from me? Not hiding, Logan said, voice low and steady. Managing. You don't know her life before you met her. You're lucky she even stayed this long. The words hit Ethan like a fist. Every day, every moment he thought he knew Maren. The smiles, the shared routines, the whispered reassurances. They were built on fragments of half-truths, secrets, and shadows. Logan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then gave Ethan a last look. Be careful. Curiosity isn't always your friend. And trust me, some promises aren't meant to be broken. Before Ethan could respond, Logan climbed into the van and drove off, tires kicking up dust along the dirt road. Ethan remained on the edge of the gas station lot, chest heaving, mind spinning. He realized something terrifying. Maren's fear wasn't imagined. Logan wasn't the threat, exactly. He was part of a story Ethan didn't fully understand. And whatever or whoever had her truly afraid was still out there, waiting. The sun dipped low behind the distant hills, casting long, jagged shadows over the empty road. Ethan knew he couldn't wait any longer. He had to confront the reality of Maren's past, piece together Logan's involvement, and prepare for the moment when her fear became their danger. Because tonight, when Maren returned home, nothing would be the same. The house was unusually silent that evening. Ethan had tried to talk to Maren about what he had discovered, the messages, the packages, Logan, but she had brushed him off with tight, measured words. Not tonight, she said. I just need a quiet evening. Ethan nodded, but the tension between them was a living thing, crawling through the rooms like smoke. He watched her from a couch as she moved from the kitchen to the living room, every step hesitant, every glance toward the windows sharp with paranoia. Then her phone buzzed. Her hands flew to it instinctively. She read the screen, eyes widening. Her lips trembled. Ethan leaned forward, but she slammed the phone shut before he could see. Maren, what is it? He asked softly. She shook her head violently. I can't. Her voice was small, fractured, like the sound of a window cracking under pressure. Ethan rose and approached her. Hey, look at me. Whatever it is, we can handle it. Together. Her eyes were wide, dark with something he had never seen before. Pure fear. She took a shaky breath and whispered, It's happening, he's back. Ethan's stomach dropped. Who's back? Who? She didn't answer. Her hands clutched at the edges of the coffee table, as though holding herself together was a physical effort. I can't, she repeated. I can't, not again. Ethan reached out and touched her shoulder. She flinched violently, yanking away. The shaking intensified. Panic rolled off her in waves, each one heavier than the last. Her voice rose, breaking to the quiet house. You don't understand. You have no idea what he's capable of. Hill! A strangled sob caught in her throat. Ethan grabbed her hands, grounding her. Who, Maren? Tell me. But she couldn't. She only shook her head and began pacing the room, muttering fragmented sentences. Words like promise, danger, and never aloud slipped out between sobs. She circled the living room like a trapped animal, phone clutched tight in one hand, eyes darting toward every shadow. Ethan felt helpless, watching the woman he loved crumble under the weight of a fear she had carried alone for so long. The realization hit him with the force of a punch. Maren's life before him was not a closed chapter. It was a storm that followed her here, unrelenting, and now it had arrived at their doorstep. He knelt in front of her. "Maren, look at me. I'm here. I won't leave you." She finally stopped pacing, tears streaking her face. Her breath was rapid, uneven. For a fleeting moment, her hands fell into his, trembling. "I thought I could keep him away, keep all of it away from you," she whispered. "I thought I could hide. I thought I was safe, but he knows everything." Ethan's grip tightened. "We'll figure this out. Whatever it takes, we'll figure it out." Her knees buckled, and she sank to the floor, wrapping her arms around herself. Ethan sat beside her, wrapping his own arms around her like a shield, letting the trembling of her body sink with his own heartbeat. Outside, the wind rattled the shutters, dragging the shadows of trees across the walls like ghostly fingers. Maren's eyes flicked toward the window, wide and terrified, and Ethan realized it wasn't just the wind she feared. She whispered again, almost inaudibly, I can't go through that again." Ethan's mind raced. He knew she wasn't speaking metaphorically. Whatever was coming had roots in her past. And Logan, he realized, was part of the equation. He had to be. Ethan made a silent vow. He would protect her. But first, he needed answers. Because tonight, the fragile illusion of safety shattered. And by morning, nothing in their lives would ever feel secure again. Ethan woke the next morning with a heavy sense of purpose. Last night's panic, Maren's trembling confession, and the fragments of messages he had seen left him restless and resolute. He couldn't wait for Maren to be ready to talk. He had to act now, to find the truth behind the shadowy figure that had haunted their lives. Logan. He left the house before sunrise, truck keys trembling in his hand. Following the route he had tracked over the past few days, he navigated the back roads until he spotted a familiar white delivery van parked near a forgotten side street. The engine was off, the driver nowhere in sight, but the van itself seemed to radiate a story waiting to be uncovered. Ethan approached cautiously, eyes scanning for anything out of place. The driver might have been dangerous, but the chance to uncover the truth outweighed his fear. He crouched near the open driver's door and peeked inside. The interior was mundane at first glance. Boxes, parcels, delivery logs. But something caught his eye, a binder tucked under the passenger seat. He slid the binder out and opened it. His pulse quickened as he flipped through pages of addresses, receipts, and photographs. Most were standard, but then he stopped cold. There was a photo of Maren, taken without her knowledge, annotated with her full name, address, and notes that seemed far too precise to be casual observation. Ethan's fingers trembled as he turned the page. There was also a torn envelope, containing what looked like a personal item of Maren's, a ribbon from her hair, folded carefully inside. The thought of someone keeping something so intimate sent a shiver down his spine. Logan hadn't just delivered packages. He had tracked, cataloged, and stored information about Maren, the woman Ethan loved. A sound behind him made Ethan freeze. Logan was there, silent, stepping out of the shadows like he'd been expecting him all along. "You shouldn't be here," Logan said calmly, voice low but commanding. "This isn't for your eyes." Ethan straightened, heart hammering. "I needed to know." "She's scared, Logan. She's terrified, and I need answers. You've been hiding something from me." Logan's expression didn't change. He studied Ethan with an unsettling calm, as if weighing the strength of his determination. "You don't understand," he said. "What you see here, this binder, these packages, they're not what you think. Maren's safety, that's the priority. Everything else is secondary." Ethan's voice rose despite himself. "Safety? She's terrified. She's falling apart. And you've been keeping her secrets from me all this time?" Logan's eyes softened for just a fraction of a second. "I've been keeping her alive." The words hit Ethan like a hammer. He didn't know whether to be angry, grateful, or terrified. "Alive? You mean there's more? Something I don't know?" Logan stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Years ago, I met Maren under difficult circumstances. She trusted me then, and she still does. The people she's afraid of, they don't forgive easily. I promised to protect her. That's why she vanished before. That's why she's always looking over her shoulder. And that's why you haven't known the full story. Because some truths can be more dangerous than lies. Ethan sank against a van, chest tight, mind racing. He realized that everything he thought he knew about Maren, about their life together, had been built on shadows and omissions. But there was one truth he couldn't ignore. Maren's fear was real, and Logan somehow was both protector and enigma. Logan handed him the binder, his gaze unwavering. Take it. Look at it. Understand her past. But know this, some doors, once opened, cannot be closed. Ethan accepted it, hands shaking, the weight of the evidence pressed into him, heavy and undeniable. He knew that with this binder, he held pieces of Maren's secret life, and the key to the mysteries that had haunted her for years. The sun was dipping behind the trees, casting long shadows across the dirt road. Logan climbed back into his van and drove away silently, leaving Ethan with the binder, the torn envelope, and a sense of foreboding he could not shake. Ethan watched the van disappear, then turned toward home. One thing was clear. Maren's past wasn't just a story she had kept from him. It was a storm waiting to break, and he now held the first pieces of the puzzle. The storm had passed by the time Ethan returned home, leaving a gray, overcast sky and a damp chill in the air. He carried the binder like a weight in his hands. Each step tore the house heavy with anticipation and dread. Maren sat on the living room couch, knees pulled to her chest, staring blankly at the floor. She didn't look up when he entered. The silence between them was thick, suffocating, until Ethan placed a binder on the coffee table with a soft thud. Maren, he began cautiously, kneeling before her. I have it. I saw everything Logan had. I know there's more to your past, to what you've been hiding. You don't have to face it alone anymore. She flinched slightly at his words, as if the mention of her past had pulled invisible wires taut across her chest. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, finally, her voice broke through, small and trembling. It's coming back, she whispered. I thought I'd escape, but it never left. It was always there, just beneath the surface, watching. Ethan reached for her hand, and she let him take it, fingers icy against his. Maren, tell me, please. I can't help you if I don't understand. She swallowed hard, as though forcing the words past a wall she had built for years. Before I met you, before I came here, I was involved with someone. Not by choice. I was being hunted. He didn't forgive easily. Every time I thought I was safe, he found a way back into my life. I moved, changed jobs, changed my number. I thought it would be enough. But it never was. Ethan listened, heart tight. Logan, he's the one who helped you then? She nodded, eyes glistening. He still is. He protected me. Promised he would. But it cost me. Everything I thought I had. I couldn't tell you, couldn't let anyone know. If I did, he would come after me again. And I was afraid that if you knew you'd hate me, or worse, that you'd be in danger too. Ethan felt his chest tighten. The pieces were falling into place. The fear, the packages, the messages. It wasn't paranoia. It wasn't imagined. It was a shadow of her past creeping into the present. Maren, he said softly, voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside him. You've been carrying this alone for years, and it's breaking you. I need you to trust me now. We face it together. Whoever's coming back, we'll stop them. She looked at him, hope and terror intertwined in her gaze. You don't know he's not just dangerous. He's relentless. And he'll do whatever it takes to make sure I pay for what I did or didn't do. Logan, he's been the only reason I'm alive. Ethan took a deep breath, absorbing the weight of her confession. Then we'll find a way to use that. If Logan kept you alive before, maybe he can help now too. But we have to act before whatever this is, finds you again. Maren shivered. I don't know if I'm strong enough this time. Last time, I barely made it out. You are strong, Ethan said firmly. You survived then and you'll survive now, and I won't let you face it alone. For a long moment, they sat in silence, the storm outside mirrored by the storm within the room, echoes of a past that refused to stay buried. Finally, Maren exhaled shakily and nodded. Okay, we do this together. Ethan felt a grim resolve settle over him. The binder, Logan, the messages, they were no longer fragments of fear. They were tools, clues, evidence of a past that had returned to claim the present. Outside, the last traces of daylight faded, casting shadows across the room. Ethan knew one thing. Whatever came next, nothing in their lives would ever be simple again. And Maren's disappearance, when it came, was no longer a question of if, but when. The storm within the house had only just begun. The night was quiet, unnervingly so. Ethan couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that had settled over the house ever since Maren had begun revealing fragments of her past. Every shadow seemed to stretch longer, every creak of the floorboard more sinister. He had promised her they would face it together. But now, the weight of that promise pressed down like a storm cloud ready to burst. Maren had spent the day gathering her courage. Flipping through the binder Ethan had recovered from Logan's truck. Each page brought whispers of old fears, notes in Logan's meticulous handwriting, reminders of the life she had tried to leave behind. But she had seemed more resolved than Ethan had ever seen her. Tonight, she said, they would confront the first trace of danger. They left the house around dusk, headlights cutting through the thickening fog. Ethan drove slowly, watching Maren in the passenger seat. She kept glancing out the window, her fingers twisting together in her lap, her jaw tight. The binder rested on the seat beside her, open to a page marked with an address and a hastily scribbled note. Meet me. Midnight. Alone. Ethan's hands tightened on the wheel. Are you sure you want to go through with this? He asked. Maren swallowed hard. I have to. If I don't, it will come back worse. I can feel it. They drove in tense silence. The hum of the engine, the only sound as the trees blurring past cast ghostly shadows on the windshield. At the designated location, a deserted warehouse at the edge of town, the headlights revealed an empty parking lot. Maren's hand went to binder. It's empty, she whispered. He's not here yet, but I can feel him. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows. Ethan tensed. Logan, or someone else. A man stepped into the dim light, moving quickly, silently, but with purpose. Maren. Ethan said sharply, Stay close. She nodded, eyes wide, but didn't move. Her gaze was fixed on the figure approaching. Ethan's heart thumped. The man stopped a few feet away, hands raised slightly, and Ethan could see now it wasn't Logan. It was someone taller, broader, his expression hidden beneath the hood of the jacket. A chill ran down Ethan's spine. Maren's lips parted, trembling. You promise. Before Ethan could react, the figure lunged. The next moments were a blur. Maren screamed, a piercing sound that cut through the fog like glass, and Ethan rushed forward, but the man was faster. He grabbed Maren, pulling her toward the shadowed edge of the warehouse. Ethan stumbled, shouting, reaching, but the distance grew with every step. Let her go. Ethan yelled, his voice raw, echoing against the empty walls. But the figure didn't respond. He vanished into the darkness with Maren, as if swallowed by the night itself. Ethan stood frozen, heart hammering, breaths coming in ragged bursts. The fog swirled around him, swallowing sound, swallowing sight. He called her name again and again, voice breaking, but there was no answer, only silence. He stumbled back to the truck, fumbled with the keys, his hands slick with sweat. The binder was still in the seat, pages fluttering in the cold night air, evidence of the danger that had just claimed Maren. Desperation clawed at him. He drove through the winding roads, headlights cutting through the darkness, searching every side street, every turn, every abandoned lot. His mind raced, Logan, the packages, the messages. He realized with terrifying clarity that whatever Maren had feared, whatever had haunted her for years, it had come back, and it was stronger than anything he had imagined. By the time he returned home, the house felt empty, hollow, a shell of the life they had shared. He paced the living room, staring at the shadows, listening for the slightest sound of her voice. Nothing. Ethan sank into couch, the binder open across his knees. The last message he had read, the warning, echoed in his mind. Don't follow tonight. You'll regret it. He understood now. He had no choice. The chase had begun. And whatever had taken Maren, It wasn't just going to let her go. Outside, the wind rattled the windows, carrying a whisper that made his blood run cold. She was gone, and the night had only just begun. Ethan didn't sleep that night. The memory of Maren's scream, the shadowy figure pulling her into the darkness, and the emptiness of their home pressed on him relentlessly. The binder from Logan's truck lay open on the coffee table, every page a trail of breadcrumbs leading him closer to answers and closer to danger. By dawn, he had made a decision. He needed Logan, not because he trusted the man entirely, but because Logan had been Maren's protector for years. If anyone knew how to find her, it was him. The white delivery van sat where Ethan had first seen it, parked along the same desolate side road. He approached cautiously, gripping the binder tightly. Logan emerged from behind the vehicle, calm as ever, but his eyes sharpened as they fell on Ethan. "You found the binder," Logan said, voice low but steady. Ethan nodded, heart hammering. "I need the truth. Now, where is she? What's happening?" Logan's jaw tightened. "I can't tell you everything. Not yet. Some things are dangerous enough that knowing them could get both of you killed. But I can tell you this. Whoever took her, they're after something she knows, something she possesses, something she promised long ago." Ethan's pulse quickened. What could she possibly have that makes her a target? Logan exhaled sharply, running a hand over his face. "Information, evidence, names, connections. You think the packages were innocent? The photos? Those weren't deliveries. They were warnings, reminders that someone was always watching, that someone wanted to control the outcome. You just didn't see it until now." Ethan's mind reeled. Every delivery, every cryptic message. It had all been a map leading to Maren's past. And now, she was gone because someone had followed it to its destination. Logan studied him closely. "I've been honest with her for years. I protected her. I've kept her safe. But the man you saw last night, he isn't just a threat. He's relentless. And he's the reason she vanished before. Why she's always had to look over her shoulder. He won't stop." Ethan swallowed hard, trying to process the gravity of the situation. "Then why haven't you gone after him?" "I have," Logan admitted, his voice low. "But he's smart. Too smart. He's been planning this for years, and he knows how to stay hidden. I've been buying time for her. But time is running out." Ethan's hands clenched around the binder. "So what now? How do we save her?" Logan hesitated. Then finally he spoke. "We use what she left behind. Clues, messages, locations, all of it. She left markers for us, if we were smart enough to find them. And now we have to move fast. He won't wait, and neither can we." Ethan nodded, feeling a surge of determination. "Then show me. Whatever I need to know." Logan gestured toward the van. "Get in. I'll explain as we go. But remember this. Once you step into the past, there's no turning back. Every secret, every shadow, every lie, it's all going to surface. And the truth? The truth will be more dangerous than anything you've faced so far." Ethan slid into the passenger seat, the binder clutched to his chest. Logan started the engine, the familiar hum vibrating through the vehicle. As they drove down the winding road, Logan began to speak, detailing the web of threats, the hidden enemies, and the twisted history that had led to Maren's disappearance. Every revelation was darker than the last. Each name he mentioned, each connection he revealed, sent Ethan further into a world he hadn't known existed, a world of manipulation, betrayal, and psychological games that had been carefully orchestrated for years. But through it all, one thing became clear. Maren's vanishing wasn't random. It was deliberate, calculated, and deeply personal. Ethan felt a mix of fear and resolve tighten in his chest. He knew the road ahead would be dangerous. Every step would test his limits, and every decision could mean the difference between life and death. Logan glanced at him, serious and unwavering. "Hold on, because once we reach her, the truth she's been hiding, it's going to change everything, and there's no going back." As the van disappeared into the pre-dawn fog, Ethan gripped the binder tighter. The hunt was no longer theoretical. It was real. The past was closing in, and the only way forward was through the shadows of secrets Maren had carried for years. The driver had spoken. The truth was on the road. And soon they would confront it. The van moved silently through the pre-dawn mist, Logan's hand steady on the wheel, Ethan clutching the binder and listening intently. Every word Logan spoke was a fragment of a larger puzzle. Names, threats, alliances, and betrayals spanning years. Ethan's mind reeled, tried to absorb the truth about Maren's life before him, and the lengths someone had gone to manipulate and control her. Finally, Logan brought the van to a halt at a secluded clearing near the outskirts of town. The morning fog swirled around them, and in the distance, the outline of a dilapidated barn appeared, shadows clinging to its corners like memories. This is where it ends, or begins. Logan said quietly, "She's here, but you need to understand something first. The man behind this, he's cunning, calculated. He knows her weaknesses, and he knows how far she'll go to protect what she cares about." Ethan's stomach tightened. He had imagined countless scenarios, none of which felt real enough for what he was about to face. "Then we go in." "I'm ready," he said, voice low but determined. Logan nodded. "Remember, this isn't about fighting him head-on. It's about understanding him, predicting him, and staying one step ahead. And whatever happens, Maren is strong. She survived worse than this." They moved toward the barn cautiously. The door was slightly ajar, revealing the faint outline of Maren sitting on a stack of hay bales. She looked smaller than Ethan remembered, fragile in the early morning light, but her eyes, wide, wary, and sharp, locked onto him as soon as she saw him. "Maren!" Ethan called, rushing forward. She didn't move immediately, fear and relief battling across her face. Then she rose slowly, voice barely above a whisper. "You shouldn't have come." Ethan stopped a few feet away, hands open. "I couldn't leave you here. Not after everything." Behind her, Logan stayed in the shadows, letting the reunion unfold without interference. Maren's eyes flicked to the binder in Ethan's hands. "You found it?" "I did," Ethan said, "and I understand now. Everything. Logan's been protecting you all this time, right? But why didn't you tell me?" She shook her head, tears brimming. I thought I could shield you. But the moment I tried to escape my past, it caught up with me. He's relentless, Ethan. The man who's after me. He won't stop until he gets what he wants. I couldn't risk dragging you into it. And Logan, he's been my only shield." Ethan felt a mixture of anger, fear, and understanding. He reached for her hands, holding them tightly. "You don't have to face this alone anymore. I'm here. We face it together." Her voice cracked, but determination edged through. "I was so afraid. I thought running was the only way to survive. But I see now. I have to confront it. Not hide from it. Not anymore." Logan stepped forward finally, breaking the quiet. "You've done the hard part already. Survived. Now it's time to finish it. Carefully. Strategically. Together." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of the binder and the truth it carried. He realized that Maren's past had been a series of invisible chains, threats she had endured silently. But now, with the evidence, the knowledge, and their united determination, they could dismantle it. Maren took a deep breath, finally meeting Ethan's gaze with clarity and strength. "What I feared most wasn't dying. It was losing myself, losing the chance to fight back, to choose my life. And now, maybe I can." Ethan pulled her into a firm embrace, feeling her trembling slowly ease against him. Outside, the fog began to lift, sunlight piercing through the mist and cutting long golden streaks across the clearing. The shadows of the past still lingered, but for the first time, they didn't feel insurmountable. Logan handed Ethan a small notebook from the van, a final set of instructions, leads, and names of those who had haunted Maren. "Follow this carefully," he said. "The rest depends on you." Ethan nodded, heart heavy with responsibility, but bolstered by resolve. He knew their lives would never be completely free from the echoes of the past, but standing there with Maren, he realized one thing: they would face it together. And in that moment, Maren, for the first time in years, felt the fragile stirrings of hope. The past had returned, yes, but the future was theirs to fight for,